Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
My anus is bleeding.
He can't sit down.
They call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Beta male.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that. I tell you, don't do it.
Oops.
We're under attack. It is an alien force, not of this world. It's not human intelligence.
Bullshit.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Bullshit.
It's not a salami sandwich.
Disappointed!
Repeat the line.
Disappointed!
How you like that, boy?
No.
Give me a break.
Stop it.
Fired.
Fired! Fired!
Bitch, move it along.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
I want to go to space.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation, what's up, everybody? It's Monday. Welcome, welcome, TYT Raiders. Thank you very, very much for the raid-in here. I really appreciate that on Twitch. Hello to our Facebook and YouTube audience as well. Welcome. It's going to be a fun show. We have Eric Trump accidentally showing just how insecure, or I guess just how little the Trump family actually cares about security. And of course, I'm going to relate that to the FBI raid. Or I'm sorry, everybody tells me not to use raid, so it's search. It's a search. But anyway, we have Alex Jones doing a massive backpedal. That's fun. Marjorie Greene, of course, keeping up the grift that doesn't stop grifting. We have anti-choicers in Kansas. Still very, very mad that they once again lost. Hilarious. We have, of course, unfortunately, some police brutality for you as well to show you in Arkansas. And finally, private school decides, you know what? We're just going to kick out all the LGBTQ people. We're just get them, gone, go away. And so, yeah, I'm going to clown on them for a bit and explain why this is absolutely disastrous. But anyway, let's do it. We have some, let's see, we're going to start out again with that Eric Trump story. But before you do, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Helps us out greatly. With that, let's do it. Much security, great security. Wow. The best security, the most tremendous security. Okay, anyway. Before going on Fox News to have a conversation about the FBI search on Mar-a-Lago and how, you know, these police, I mean, they ought to have some transparency, you know, the FBI and all that stuff. And, you know, there was just no reason for them to even come to Mar-a-Lago. Well, Eric Trump got a little too transparent when he decided to post a selfie containing a network username and password that he was using in order to broadcast. Oh, well, would you look at that? Wi-Fi network. Yeah, okay. And great password, by the way. What? Top-notch password. Well done. Very, very stable genius. Very, very concerned about network security. The most secure. Ain't nobody breaking into that. Okay, so now here's the thing. So on Friday, I remember showing you Giuliani. making this ridiculous argument as to why keeping the 11 sets of classified information, documentation that the FBI had taken from Mar-a-Lago that were top secret and contained nuclear secrets was totally fine. In fact, you know what? Very, very secure place. Just as secure as keeping it in the government's possession. Here's that video.
And now they want to make them responsible for having taken classified documents and preserved them. Really, if you look at the Espionage Act, it's not really about taking the documents. It's about destroying them or hiding them or giving them to the enemy.
Right.
It's not about taking them and putting them in a place that's roughly as safe as they were in the first place.
Roughly as safe as they were in the first place, you know, sitting in a random supply closet at Mar-a-Lago. Secure. Very, very secure. Look, let me ask you, even if you're the most diehard MAGA supporter and, you know, you're sitting there screaming or typing out Trump 2024, right? With, I don't know, wearing the red hat, maybe with a couple of beer cans on your head. There's nothing wrong with that. And, you know, you're getting redder and redder as the time goes by. Veins are starting to bulge out of your chest as you're typing. But let me ask you, do you really believe that the documents were safer sitting at Mar-a-Lago than they were, for example, in the National Archives or in government custody? Do you actually believe that? Do you really believe that? I don't think you do. I don't think you do. And look, again, especially since Eric and apparently others don't know enough to avoid randomly giving out Wi-Fi passwords to potentially millions of people, millions of viewers, including, I don't know, maybe you think China wasn't watching? Maybe they were. Maybe they were. And this isn't the only example, of course. Look, if you were angry at Hillary Clinton, and I remember I criticized her as well for doing that whole, you know, home private server, well, then you should be just as mad at Trump. Again, historians, national security analysts, government watchdogs said that Trump himself had seemed oblivious, if not dismissive, when it came to security, to network security. For example, on his second presidential weekend trip to Mar-a-Lago, Trump hosted former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who was recently assassinated, and talk about an insane story, but he was there for a summit. When news broke of a provocative North Korea missile test, Trump and Abe, who were dining together at a Mar-a-Lago hall, huddled in Situation Room style to fashion a response, as club members and guests were just able to sit there and watch. Oh, great. Great. Yeah, security, the best security, the greatest security. Nobody's going to get into that. Nobody is going to figure out what the U.S. response is. You know, even though it's right out in the open, anybody could watch it. Speaking of anybody watching it, do you guys remember when a Chinese woman, a Yuzhen Zhang, had tried to enter Mar-a-Lago? Now, there's nothing wrong with Chinese people entering Mar-a-Lago or anywhere else. It just so happens that she was carrying 4 cell phones, a laptop, an external hard drive, and in her room at the Colony Hotel on Palm Beach, they found USB drives, SIM cards, and a device that is able to connect to detect hidden cameras. I wonder what she was up to. Not sure. Not sure. Another person, college freshman Mark Lindblom. On the day after Thanksgiving in 2018, Lindblom decided to, dress up in a blue suit and basically trick Secret Service agents into talking his way into Mar-a-Lago simply to see how far he could get. Lindblom accessed Trump's property by walking through a tunnel under State Road A1A that connects Mar-a-Lago to the beach club facility. He stood there with other members and was wanted by agents and allowed into the property. Lindblom then took photos as he wandered around for about 20 minutes before being caught and arrested. Hey, but we have the best security, right? The greatest security. Tremendous. In January 2020, an SUV driven by a Connecticut woman went through 2 different security barricades by Mar-a-Lago and prompted gunfire from Secret Service agents in Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies. No one was injured. A judge later found the driver, Hannah Rumhild, an opera singer, not guilty of multiple charges by reason of insanity. So look, these examples show that it's pretty easy to get into Mar-a-Lago. I mean, you lie about it, go in, you trick the Secret Service. Remember, Secret Service is not in charge of vetting guests to Mar-a-Lago. So when you have a hotel/resort, you're not supposed to hold presidential meetings and functions there, much less top secret documents. But that's what they did. And again, imagine if there was somebody in there who knew what they were doing. Hell, maybe that's already happened. Maybe you already had a spy go into Mar-a-Lago. Why wouldn't they? If you're a good spy, then you could get in there, get information, whatever you want, and get the hell out without anybody even noticing. Who says that didn't happen? We can't say one way or the other. But see, the reason that they did it this way is because Donald Trump didn't care. Donald Trump wanted to, pat his pockets. Look, even John Kelly. John Kelly's like, look, this is a security nightmare. This is really dumb. It's really, really easy to get into Mar-a-Lago because it's not a secure place. When he brought those warnings to Trump, Trump said, I don't care. I don't give a damn. He didn't want to stop paying members from being able to pay. Again, that's the whole purpose of being at Mar-a-Lago as president. To have, and remember, he basically made membership even more expensive as soon as he became president. Why was that? Oh, right. So he could make more money and stuff it into his pocket. Hey, so what if rando people see the nuclear football? Don't care. I just want to get paid. It's all about the money. The guy is too dumb and too greedy for words, man. Now, the best part, or I should say the most interesting part, and again, my speculation, his stupidity might have actually worked out in his favor, weirdly enough. And again, remember, there's only one reason why I think you would take those documents from the White House and bring them to your personal residence. Highly classified documents. One reason, you want to sell them. That's it, you want to sell them. And now, of course, by being so careless with your security that any random person can come in, you make it that much easier for a spy who knows what they're doing to come in and steal them. Which also means that we don't have any evidence or any proof that Donald Trump, even though I think he was definitely going to try to sell them, he wasn't able to. And so imagine that, right? Them getting our nuclear secrets, even though Donald Trump may have intended to sell them, and we don't have any evidence of it, but it seems very, very plausible. But his stupidity, him being so goddamn stupid and careless with his own security, rendered the things that he wanted to sell, well, hey, look, if somebody got in and already took copies of those, well, then he's not going to be able to sell them because they already have the information. Amazing. Amazing. Again, that's probably why, or maybe why we won't find any proof that Donald Trump had sold any parts of the documents to other countries. Because, again, who would buy them? Who's to say? Pure speculation on my part, but only Trump knows for sure. And sure, maybe, other members of the family that have, that may have the video footage. But I tell you one thing on the video, he ain't willing to share. But again, this situation is a perfect example of how the Trump family is either too stupid to protect themselves or this information, or they just don't give a damn. Either way, really stupid. the greatest people, the smartest people, the best people. Moving on. Let's go to Alex Jones. Conspiracy theorist Alex Jones is very, very sorry about something he had said during a recent show where he called DeSantis much better than Trump. I'm going to show you that video here, and then we'll break it down.
Pig-headedly support him a few years ago, even though I disagreed with his warp speed, because I thought that we had to keep him in office because of the nightmare scenario if Hillary or Biden got in, back before they were officially running. But that said, I am supporting DeSantis. DeSantis is just gone from being awesome to being unbelievably good. And I don't just watch a man's actions, as Christ said, judge a tree by its fruits. I can also look in his eyes on HD video, and I see the real sincerity.
I looked into his eyes. I saw the real sincerity. Yeah, very sincere. I had a good, long, deep look to Ron DeSantis' eyes. I saw a very, very sincere man. Very sincere. Yep. All right. Okay, sure. Now, what's funny about that is that apparently that didn't go too well. I guess it didn't go well over in Trump world because he has since released an emergency message begging Trump for forgiveness.
So this is my emergency message to you, Mr. President, to go and actually watch the first 30 minutes of Thursday's show. We'll put a link to it below here so you can see what I said in context. The corporate media edited down a 30-second clip to make it sound like that I'm only for DeSantis and that I've abandoned you. That's not true. It's the contrary. I understand you're under attack. I understand you are surrounded, and I'm trying to get you to reassess the situation. I know people like Don are telling you that you need to reassess the situation.
Don's telling you to reassess that situation. And, I understand. I understand that, you're under attack. I understand. You're surrounded. And that you need my help. And I'm here for you. I'm here for you every day. I love you, Trump. But you got to watch context. You got to watch Trump context because the corporate media, they edited my 30 minutes down. Okay, look, I'm not going to sit here and, watch 30 minutes of Alex Jones. No, thank you. You would, those of you in the audience would probably try to murder me. Okay? You're not interested. I'm not interested. But you know what? And by the way, I doubt even Trump was interested because he doesn't have that kind of attention span. But to be fair, there is a little bit more context here. And in the interest of fairness, I will show you a little bit of that context. Take a look.
God has given us DeSantis. Make no mistake about that. And I got a message for President Trump. You are the real president. We're reelected by a landslide. I have fought for you. 95% of what you've done has been incredible. You have amazing courage and energy, and I respect you. But if you continue to let this poison be pushed on our people and our children, I'm coming after you. But we all just heard DeSantis. He says, we now know we were lied to. That's the Rubicon you're crossing right now, Trump. We all know, it doesn't work, and it's a lie, and it's poisonous. And so I want everybody to call Mar-a-Lago, call their information line, call Trump's resorts. He'll get the word. Everybody I know that talks to Trump, in fact, I could probably get a hold of him. I'm going to get a hold of his ass and say, what are you doing? Stop it. What do you think you've been a part of? Decouple now. Reject it now, and you will be forgiven. We don't think you did this on purpose, but if you continue, then you're doing it on purpose. The evidence is overwhelming. We're not going to allow you to join the New World Order and destroy us.
You know, the context really isn't that much better. I mean, because no, we're not going to let you join the New World Order. That's what we're going to do. Yeah. So, and what you're doing by the poison, you know. No. What's going on here is he doesn't like the vaccine. Why? Well, because the vaccine means he can't sell as many supplements. Let's be fair about that. All right. Look, obviously, it seems like he's got a clear preference for DeSantis. Now, the thing is, DeSantis hasn't declared to run for president. Neither has Donald Trump. Okay. Now, I thought before, when I covered this, I thought that Jones was seeing the writing on the wall when it came for Trump. But apparently, no, he just wants Trump to be more anti-vax, more openly anti-vax, like Ron DeSantis. And again, the reason is that for that is twofold. Number one, again, the far right despises vaccines. So you have politicians like Ron DeSantis that are using it to get their chuds to turn out. But secondly, before I get to that, understand that a lot of people, these politicians, are still railing against the vaccines and the lockdowns, despite the government under Biden no longer giving a shit about COVID. They don't care anymore. They have ended all the government support for vaccines, mask requirements, tests, and treatments. They don't care. Now, the second reason, again, is, as I mentioned before, is more personal to Alex Jones. He just lost a massive defamation suit. He's got to pay $45 million in damages to one Sandy Hook family, plus another, I believe, $4 million. So it's in Jones' business interests, and that's what it's about, for Donald Trump to turn against the vaccines in the hopes that it will make more Republicans refuse to take the vaccine and to turn to treatments, shady treatments sold by Alex Jones. Again, Alex Jones made hundreds of millions of dollars on supplements and prepper gear. It ain't just, Alex Jones dick pills, Cock Force Plus. We got plenty of Cock Force Plus. Get guard, get fast for the New World Order. I mean, it's weirdo stuff like colloidal silver. It's stuff that just doesn't work. And so he's made millions of dollars hawking this garbage. And the reason I point that out is because this is the only thing that makes sense. Why he's pushing Trump so hard to trash the vaccines. He's got a devastating payout to make, and he's got to make that money somehow. My theory. Now, will Donald Trump listen? I don't know. Maybe only if it benefits him. Right now, the vaccine Operation Warp Speed is the one thing the media gives him credit for. Now, if I know Trump, and I do, I think I do pretty well. I think deep down, he loves and wants nothing more than to be beloved and praised by mainstream media. That's why he's so salty. That's why he's always so mad at the media, because they don't praise him. They don't talk about how great he is, his poll numbers, all that stuff. And so that Operation Warp Speed thing, well, that's the only thing they've given him credit for. Well, okay, maybe the big, beautiful missiles that he fired at Syria, but anything else, they don't give him credit. And so he wants to hold on to this. That's my guess. Colloidal silver does work for some things, but it's not proven for COVID. And that's the whole point. Like, if you're selling colloidal silver for COVID, there's, again, no evidence that it actually works in relation to that. It's just like hydroxychloroquine, I believe, works well for, what was it? Lupus. That's a lupus drug, isn't it? And then ivermectin. Great if you've got parasites in your eyes. Not good if you have COVID, because it's two different things. All right. Let's go to Marjorie Greene. Our normal, lineup of ghouls. Every day is a brand new ghoul. Or not. the weekend, Mike Pillow held his latest Griftathon, and joining him was Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who encouraged the few people that were still there that decided to show up and watch to keep the faith.
I'm here because so many people that their name is never in the news. They're never on television. No one knows who they are, but they have worked tirelessly, and I'm sure you or many of them. And you've worked tirelessly because you care so much about our country, and you know what is at stake. You know how important this is. And so you have poured money and time you didn't have, and of course, money you didn't have. You have probably lost friends. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe you've lost faith at times, but you've found it again and you keep fighting. But I'm so thankful for all of you. I really, truly am. I'm so thankful for all of you that continue to care, that continue to believe, and continue to fight to figure out what went wrong. Because in our country, we can't have a future that protects our Constitution and our freedoms and our American way of life and gives all of us an opportunity if we do not protect our elections.
No, okay, so most of that of what she said is just gobbledygook, okay? But I want to talk about how she pointed out you probably lost money, and you've probably lost friends, and you've lost money because you've given it all to grifters like me and Mike Pillow. But okay, you've lost friends. But you should do more. You should make yourself poorer and even more socially isolated by regurgitating my insane conspiracy theories that have been disproven one by one over and over again. Huh, weird. You know, that's how a cult works, right? Look, what they've done is that they have built a cult revolving around Trump and have used this election BS as like a, I don't know, a litmus test to join the cult. You have to, in order to be a true Republican, you have to believe that this election was stolen from Trump. Based on what evidence? Trust me, bro. So it's so sad because this is the lie that refuses to die. And it doesn't matter how many recounts, how many audits, how many Republican officials in those states stand by their vote counts, stand by their elections. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. The big lie is just this. It is just faith. That's it. It's faith. And this whole thing has become a religion unto itself. And when you're dealing with faith over facts, well, look, if we bring facts, we're not going to win at all. And so they just live in a completely different reality that requires more and more faith, more and more disinformation, and more wild speculative claims to sustain themselves, as well as support from the faith leaders like Marjorie Greene, who hasn't met a right-wing conspiracy she doesn't shy away from. No, she is a dangerous, ignorant person who has, unfortunately, a measure of power, and we can see her using her power for personal gain. So, all right. Moving on. All right. Anti-abortion activists have threatened to carry out a door-to-door investigation. They're coming to your door after another recount proved that Kansas voters have backed an amendment to preserve choice, freedom of choice. Now, this recount in Kansas was requested by two different people. One, Melissa Levitt, a Colby woman who had testified before the state legislature about 2020 election conspiracies, because of course, and bankrolled by longtime anti-choice activist Mark Geitson, whose Kansas for Life group targeted George Tiller's abortion clinic before he was murdered. Great. So now apparently these two individuals are very salty that in Kansas democracy prevailed and protected the rights of pregnant people. So of course they go to the tried and true method of voter fraud. It was voter fraud. Yet fraudulent voters, dead voters, Democrats, they're the problem. No, the problem was, well, I shouldn't say problem, but we had democracy and democracy won. Turns out that you had people, more people, on the side of protecting freedom of choice. But no, they don't care. They have paid for a recount, and that recount failed, and now are even more salty about it. So again, I find it incredibly hilarious because even when they've been proven to have lost twice, they said, no, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think that this is I think that the voters were wrong. I mean, I don't even think the voters were actually voters. Really, what proof do you have? Trust me, bro. No, I don't trust you. Now, Geitson said this. His next step was to check the registrations of people who say they voted. We're going to check your registrations now. We're going to get into your data here, into your personal information. Because, again, we're sad that we lost, and we don't believe we lost. In fact, he says this, I don't care whether they voted yes or no. Of course you do. It doesn't make any difference to me. I want to know if a human being voted. So we'll be visiting homes to see if anyone lives there. Maybe 10 out of every precinct. So you're just going to go around and randomly harass people, knock on their door and say, are you a human? Did you actually vote for this? What did you vote for? Hey, how about you get the fuck off my porch, you crazy person? How about that? Yeah, go ahead and come to my door. Go ahead. Now, I don't live in Kansas, so they won't come to my door, but nonetheless, no, don't come to my door. It's ridiculous. Now, on the recount, 9 out of the state's 105 counties had recounted their ballots and found about 87 fewer votes in favor of preserving rights and 6 more in favor of stripping those from women in the August 2nd election, where a total of 922,000 votes were cast on the issue. So again, even with that, the recount, so yes, recounts can find votes one way or the other, but it wasn't enough votes to sway the end result. And yet, they were ordered to pay about $120,000 for the hand recount that they'd requested, according to the Kansas City Star. Now, unfortunately for them, Geitson and Levitt only raised about $50,000. That's still a lot of money towards the statewide recount. And he ended up paying the remainder with money from his own retirement account and a credit card for the Kansas Republican Assembly, a hard-right alternative to the Republican Party. Oh, that's so good. So this chud spends his own money from his own retirement, screwing himself over, and still does not get the result that he wants. That's hilarious. Hey, moron, you probably could have saved yourself a lot of money had you looked at the polls. The things that tell you how people feel about an object, or not about an object, but about a subject, and sometimes an object. Yeah, when you do that, you find out that the vast majority of the country happens to be pro-choice. Even if they're personally against abortion in their personal lives, i.e. they would choose never to have one, that doesn't mean that they want to take away the choice from everyone else. And that's very important. The majority of the country supports the right to choice, supports the right to freedom. It's only morons like you and politicians that bow down to these special interest groups that want to completely ban abortions for everyone. Again, plenty of people personally against it, but they don't want to control other people. They don't want to tell other people what they can and can't do with their own bodies. That is called freedom. It's called choice. But see, understand that some of these people don't believe in choice. They don't believe in personal freedom. They think that they want to, that they should be able to own other people's bodies because they think that whatever's growing in them is a life. Like, is not just a life, by the way, is a fully formed human being from the moment of conception, and therefore should be granted 100% personhood. That's, again, the science does not agree with that. The science is very, very clear on that. And look, what Roe established before was, okay, here's where the government can, rule and say that we're going to protect life because now it is considered an independent, viable life. We're going to set that up. That's when we can intervene. That's when we can pass laws to say that, okay, you've had enough time to make a decision whether or not you want to end this pregnancy. Now it is considered a viable human being, and now our laws can protect that. But by getting rid of Roe, you've gotten rid of those benchmarks. So, yeah. But again, the whole point was not to protect life. It's to control women, to control other people's bodies. And so, here's the thing. It's kind of ironic that this, narrative from the right wing is that the left wants to control their lives. I don't want to control anybody else's life. I barely got control of my own. I'm too lazy to control anyone else's life. I got enough of my damn plate. All right? No, I don't want to control anyone else's life. What I want is I want rich people to pay their fair share in taxes. I want people to have good jobs. I want the streets to be safe. I want there to be healthcare. I want there to be safety nets for the poor. I want everybody to have access to a good education. And I want people to have personal freedom. I want people to have freedom to protest, freedom to travel, freedom to make bodily decisions, freedom to organize their workplaces, set up unions or, worker co-ops, freedom to read and watch what people want, to do what they want in their own bedrooms. But when it comes to the right, it just seems like a lot of those things, they don't believe in it at all. And what they have to do is justify their beliefs, their want and desire for authoritarianism through projection. Again, if the vote went their way, there would be no question about it. There would be no recounts. There would be no voter fraud allegations. There would be no questions about the integrity of the vote. No, they would accept it 100% at face value. Oh, our initiative to ban abortions, it won. Are you sure? They wouldn't ask, oh, is there any anomalies? No, they'd just be like, oh, we won 100%. Democracy has spoken. The people have spoken. We have a mandate. But if they don't win, they pull all this garbage. And again, it's because they can't stand that people could vote or think differently than they do, because they want to control what they do, control what they say. And that's my biggest issue with the right today. They refuse to accept the reality. They refuse to accept the fact that most of the country does not agree with them on a lot of these issues. They have lost the culture war. They are desperately doing everything they can to keep dragging us back into fights that we have already won. And since they have gotten a position of power, i.e. taken over the Supreme Court, now they're rolling back those things that we had previously won, so that we've got to fight for them all over again. As opposed to doing anything to actually improve the material conditions of everyday working Americans. Hey, look, it's great to have this distraction if all you care about is enforcing corporate rule. Because every day that we spend fighting this nonsense culture war, thanks to the right wing, constantly dragging it back, that's another day that corporate America, the wealthy, and the politicians can get together and continue to rob us. All right. Moving on. Let's go to police brutality. All right. Let me see if I got the right video queued up here. All right. Three police officers in Arkansas were taken off duty after they were caught on camera brutally assaulting a suspect that they had placed under arrest. Now, the footage was posted to social media, where it went viral due to the treatment of this man who was pinned to the ground and struck repeatedly in the head by officers. I want to give you a content warning. This video is graphic. This video is disturbing. With that said, let's take a look.
3 Arkansas law enforcement officers have been removed from duty after this video showing them hitting a man outside a store in Mulberry, Arkansas, was posted to social media. The officers are seen punching and kneeing the suspect repeatedly and later arresting him. In the video, a woman not seen can be heard screaming to stop beating him, telling the officers he needs his medicine. An officer points and yells at her to back up. The person who posted the video says her sister witnessed the altercation. The 2 Crawford County deputies were suspended and the Mulberry police officer placed on administrative leave while the incident is investigated. Police say the man in the video is 27-year-old Randall Worcester of Goose Creek, South Carolina. They accuse him of threatening and spitting on a gas station attendant in a nearby town. The clerk then called the police. Worcester then rode a bike to the County Express convenience store in Mulberry, where he was arrested outside the store. One witness tells CNN affiliate KHBS it looked like the man got up to run away to avoid arrest, but the sheriff claims he got up to attack an officer. Worcester is being held at the county jail on multiple charges, including first-degree assault and second-degree battery. It's unclear whether he has an attorney. The Crawford County Sheriff's Office released a statement writing, "I hold all my employees accountable for their actions and will take appropriate measures in this matter." Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson tweeted, "The local arrest incident in Crawford County will be investigated pursuant to the video evidence and the request of the prosecuting attorney."
All right, so look, I don't care what this guy did. The police should not have been slamming his face into the pavement when they had him on the ground. Again, sure, you shouldn't spit at people, but guess what? That doesn't mean you should have your face slammed in the pavement repeatedly and punched in the face and kicked in the side by 3 police officers. Look, I think that in the case of use of force, which can be warranted at some times because, you know, there are people that, yes, do happen to be violent, that might even attack police officers, does happen. But I think in those cases, police should only be doing what is necessary to restrain the assailant to ensure their safety as well as the safety of the person that they are trying to arrest. That's it. Now, let me ask you, what safety risk does an already restrained man pose to these police officers? The 3 police officers, 3 of them. What justification is there to beat a handcuffed man or a man that has been subdued and slam his face into the pavement? There isn't any. There isn't any. Now, again, I understand that a police need to use force to restrain an uncooperative suspect. I get it. But the amount of force has to be proportional to the threat. And only, again, to secure the safety of the officers and the suspect. These police officers seem to have forgotten about any of that. Or more likely, I don't think they care. I don't think they care at all. And again, it's because for so long, they get away with it. They have gotten away with it. Look, at the bare minimum, we can all agree that there has to be some change. First in the training, obviously. But I think it needs to go further than that. I think we need to end qualified immunity. I think if that happened, well, this wouldn't happen nearly as much. Why? Because then it would be the police on the line, their asses, instead of taxpayer money They can actually be held accountable. And look, when police get in trouble and they end up getting settlements from the city, again, that's taxpayer money. That doesn't hurt the officer at all. Now, maybe if they lose their job, but as we've seen with other police officers, okay, they might lose their job in one place and then get hired at another department somewhere else. I mean, that's horrible. Because what you have is you haven't solved the problem. You've just made taxpayers pay a settlement. And I'm not saying that the families don't deserve that settlement, but really, we should do more to actually make the officers be accountable to this. And whatever happened to accountability? Well, when it comes to police, we don't have it. And it's disgusting. And again, I'm a union guy. But when it comes to police unions, it's disgusting the kinds of things the police unions have allowed the police to get away with. It is absolutely disgusting and ridiculous. No. We've got to end that qualified immunity. We've got to make some major changes to policing in this country, and even really kind of redefine what the job of the police actually is supposed to be. Because it's right now, it is not about public safety. Right now, it's about protecting property. Right now, it's about protecting the rich. It's not about protecting you and me. And it's not about, applying justice. And it has to change to be, a force that actually is there to protect that community and to promote justice. Look, maybe if we do qualified immunity, departments might be a little bit more picky about who they hire. Right now, there's very, very little qualifications for who gets hired as a police officer. And of course, what kind of training they get. But until police are held accountable, none of that's going to change. So I hope this investigation, I know, maybe you think that I'm being a little bit too, hopeful that investigations will actually lead to any kind of charges or lead to anything like that. You're probably right. I am being too optimistic. But hopefully enough of these things, and it's already too much. This has already happened too much. But maybe enough of these situations will, push real reform on this. And not what we've seen, which is basically a return to status quo, funding the police even more, and nothing else, no other change. Okay. All right. Last story of the day. Those of you on Twitch, by the way, I'll turn the ads down. I didn't realize there were so many on them. So I'll turn that off or turn that down once I'm done with today's stream. So if you ever tune in again, you won't be bombarded quite as much. So apologies on that. All right, with that. A religious school in Florida is purging its LGBTQIA plus students from their campus. Now, the Grace Christian School in Valrico, Florida, which is a private school, has sent an email to parents, which has been obtained by NBC News, announcing a complete rejection of non-heterosexual Christians. So they're just getting rid of everyone who isn't a heterosexual Christian. So now the email was written and sent by Minister Barry McKean. Now the June 6th correspondence to the parents cited scripture and said that students would be referred to by the gender on their birth certificates during the school year beginning this month. While the email refers to biological gender, the National Institute of Health defines gender as a social construct as opposed to sex, which is a biological difference between males and females. So now what's interesting is I see these arguments all the time. They can't seem to define, though, in their arguments, the difference between sex and gender. Which is funny because, again, they accuse the left of redefining words. No, we're not redefining words. We're using them in the proper context. Yes, gender expression is a social construct. Gender identity is a social construct. Sex is biological. Now, that said, let's go to the email. It reads this. We believe that God created mankind in his image, male, man, and female, woman. Did they really have to... Okay, get into the details about that. But okay. They created them sexually different, but with equal dignity. Really? Really? So then, why does the focus on transitioning to a woman seem to offend people if they're supposedly equal? Then what would be wrong? And I say that because you look at, things like Tucker Carlson, Matt Walsh, and they all talk about the feminization of men. Oh, men aren't men anymore. Men are becoming too feminine. Wait, so wait, if God, created man and women sexually different but with equal dignity, then why is it less dignifying for a man to transition into a woman? That doesn't make sense to me. They're not consistent. So, look. Okay, more. I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Therefore, one's biological sex, they write, must be affirmed and no attempt should be made to physically change, alter, or disagree, can't disagree, with one's biological gender, including but not limited to elective sex reassignment, transvestite, transgender, or non-binary gender fluid acts of conduct. That is strangely specific. What does that mean? Like girls can't wear pants? You are only allowed to wear dresses or skirts because, pants are for men. And men, no skirts, no dresses, tank tops? Is that it? Because both girls and boys wear tank tops. Are they male or female? Or are they unisex? Hold on. What are even the rules here? What about the kilts? Those look a lot like skirts. All of this policing of what you can and cannot wear to express yourself is pretty ridiculous. But there's more, of course. They said, we believe that any form of homosexuality, lesbianism, bisexuality, transgender identity lifestyle, self-identification, and then they lump this in, bestiality, incest, fornication, adultery, and pornography are sinful in the sight of God and the church. Students who are found participating in these lifestyles will be asked to leave the school immediately. So they lump all that ridiculousness in together, implying that they're all the same. You're just going to casually slip in bestiality and incest along with porn and being gay. What? Okay, it's ridiculous. Now, McKean then told NBC News in response, because they reached out and they said, hey, we got this email. It seems pretty hateful. Here's what his response was. It is true that a student cannot come to our school and be transgender or homosexual. This is rooted in the scriptures. God has spoken on those issues explicitly, aggressively, and we have had these policies in our school since day number 1 in the early 1970s. This is not new. Okay. And that still doesn't make it right. And by the way, where did God say that you can't be transgender? Where in the Bible is that? Somebody please pull up a verse where it says specifically that you cannot be a transgender person. Can anyone do that? Can anyone find it where, here's where the Bible, okay. So, something 261 or whatever. God, thou shalt not be transgender. What? No, it doesn't exist. You can't find it. The closest they have is this. Deuteronomy 22:5, which says, a woman must not wear men's clothing, nor a man wear woman's clothing, for the Lord your God detests anyone who does this. Well, that's not what it means to be transgender. Transgenderism isn't just playing dress up. And besides, what's funny is back in the days of Jesus, didn't everyone just wear robes? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fashion expert, I'm not a fashionista, but I mean, didn't everyone wear robes back then? Was there much difference between women's and men's fashion? I don't think there was. But no, they don't care. Banned. Not allowed. But get this, right? He said afterwards, we are not a hateful group of people. We don't hate students who are of a particular persuasion. Oh, we don't hate them. We don't hate them. We just think that they're going to hell and that we don't want them and their horrible taint anywhere near us because we're afraid that their sin will spread and make us go to hell too. That's a wonderful Christian compassion right there. But in reality, that's not even Christianity. That's all Old Testament stuff. But anyway, that email prompted at least one family of a 16-year-old girl who happens to be gay to leave the school. That teen said she felt like a social outcast there and went to a new religious school that happens to be more accepting. She says, at the new school, I feel normal. Now, look, that's important because some of you are probably asking, hey, why would anybody who's gay or trans want to go to a Christian school? Well, why not? You can be gay and religious. You can be trans and religious. The Bible says, at least the New Testament says very little or nothing against gay and trans people. Again, all Old Testament stuff, which there are people that have cherry-picked that out in order to fuel their own personal biases. Again, if you want to, cherry-pick things out, well, I can go and say, well, hey, look, you can't eat at Red Lobster because of shellfish. Shellfish is unclean. So says the Bible. So you better put down that crab. Oh, that lobster, you're going to hell. Why are you not out there picketing outside of Red Lobster? Oh, what about the, polyester and cotton blend pants? You can't wear those. Why are you not out there picketing against the Gap? No, what they're doing is that they're, picking and choosing what they actually care about. Whereas, again, if you actually pay attention, Jesus started the New Testament with an absolution of all the sins. And so there's no real big focus on that. No, what this is that McKean is just a hateful person and just wants to use the Bible to promote his own hatred. In fact, there's one 18-year-old transgender man who graduated from this school. And he said this, while no email like the one in June was ever sent while I was at the school, it was well known that any students in the LGBTQ community had to keep it secret. It was not something I could be open about. Only a select few of my friends could ever know about it. He said of his gender identity, sometimes we couldn't even know if we could trust people in our friend group because we didn't know anybody would say anything to faculty. He noted that some students were uncomfortable with LGBTQ students due to the faculty's influence. And I think that's really important. Okay. Now, McKean, for example, speaking of the faculty, he would randomly yell about how if you're gay, you're going to hell. She said McKean told students it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, and that he said he knew there were LGBT people at Grace Christian, and if he found out who they were going to be kicked out. Two other former students corroborated this account of McKean's chapel hour comments. McKean, however, in a video statement, said, oh, no, I didn't say that. I didn't say anything like that. Oh, no. I can assure you, I did not say that. That is fabricated. If a student feels I implied that, well, then they're relying on their own ability to assess. I did not utter those words. No, that's gaslighting. This guy's a lunatic. Just an incredibly hateful person who is sitting there and he's lying about these things. Total bullshit. Now, the woman who asked to remain anonymous because of potential harassment said the school's perspective didn't hurt her. There's another woman, transgender woman. But that was not the case for every student in the LGBTQ community who attended the school. One of my friends who is closeted, she gets very hurt by it and very scared. She said she has very bad anxiety about it. The graduate said that when the topic was addressed, her friend would go into the bathroom and cry. So look, this is real consequences for mental health. Okay. And by the way, a quick correction. The woman, I incorrectly called her transgender. She's actually just gay. Okay. But like I said, real consequences. Hate and harassment leads people to not only be harassed and have to deal with that, of course, but it also, more importantly, creates to others the impression that it's okay to treat LGBTQ people like this. They will go into the world holding these beliefs and these horrible prejudices and use them against others. And that's the real problem here. Now, of course, since this is a private school, there's really nothing that can be done about it. And so what we have are, at this point, privately run hate factories that are able to discriminate as much as they want because of their status as a private school. I think all private schools should be eliminated. Why? Because that would actually make public schools better. If everybody was forced to go into the public school system, that system would be funded. That system would be funded very, very well. It works in other countries. And you wouldn't have this stuff. And so that's just my suggestion. As for, again, what can happen to this school? Well, nothing. So they're just going to be able to continue to rail against gay people and to kick them out. Of course, you'll never get all of them because gay people will always be there. They will always exist. And some will be forced into these schools by their parents who may not know their identity or their orientation. And so they'll continue to be exposed to this hateful rhetoric and these terrible ideas. And there's really nothing that we can do, which is incredibly unfortunate. All right. Rich people always talk about skinning the game. Maybe that can apply to public schooling. Ravaging Wolverine, that's again, a great point to buttress onto mine. All right. Let me read some Twitch stuff before we raid, so stick with it. A lot of kindness here. Let's see. Chipperdoodle in PA, thank you for resubbing for a month at tier 1 for 21 months. Wow. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for all the new follows, by the way. You're all wonderful. Cerberus Alpha Gaming, thank you for gifting 3 tier 1 subs. Really appreciate that. Dimensional Kitty Mom, The Real Pearl, and you can call me Jess. So I recognize a lot of you from the TYT Twitch chat, and so I really like that. It's really good to see you here. Thank you. Tempodan 918, thank you for resubbing for month of tier 1 for 20 months. Appreciate that. 20 months of the leadership. There's no leadership here. And again, thank you for all the new follows. Let's go over here to Super Chat. Well, let me just find that and pull that up. Let's see. Let's see. Jonathan Leiter says, hold on. Okay, that is today. Jonathan Leiter says, you hear that crazy gun minister confronting Beto O'Rourke? I have not. So I'll have to check that out. Thank you for the very kind $2. If you want to help us out, of course, you can come to our Patreon, patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. You can support us there. Or, all the different platforms. Again, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, etc. Let's see. Is there... So I'm new to thanking people on Facebook, so I'm going to try to find this. How do I find the stars? I have not figured that out yet, apparently. But I will figure it out eventually. All right. I will check that story out, Jonathan, later. Absolutely. Maybe talk about it. Whatever happened to love thy neighbor? That's a good question. That is a very good question. Harry Soccer says that's such ignorant, old-fashioned crap, like when they used to commit LGBTQ to mental asylums. They're still pushing conversion therapy. Disgusting. Absolutely agreed. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Anyway, let's raid on Twitch here. Let's go into either the serfs or left flank vets. There's also Lumiru, which we could raid as well. So who haven't I raided in a while? We'll go with left flanks. Did I see Herschel Walker refusing debate on October 13th, thinking it was on a Sunday Night Football instead of on Thursday? No, Grumpy Cat, I did not see that as well. Oh, that's fun. To everyone else, again, thank you. Really appreciate you. Remember to like and share the stream and the videos. You're amazing, and we'll see you all back here tomorrow. Love you, and remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation.
Obama! People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Who's got a hammer? I like my new pipe. Tighten up my knee. I'm not worth your McDonald's money.
Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Disappointed!